Alright folks, in today's video we're going to be talking about the Mini 4 Pro and basically all the different features and how you're going to get started with this drone. If this is either your brand new drone, we've never flown a drone before, or if you have had drones before and you've upgraded to the Mini 4 Pro, well, this is the perfect video for you. We're going to be talking about the drone in itself. We're going to be talking about the controller, how to set up for your first flight. I'm going to show you what kind of area I selected and why we're going to pick this specific spot over something else maybe, and then all the different features that are available in here. So grab your drone or grab a drink. It's going to be a little long as far as the video, but you should be getting all the information you need. Let's get to it. Well, the first thing that we want to do with this is, well, kind of take a look at the drone and take a look at the different pieces. First off, we have a cover. It's very easy to remove. We're just going to remove the tab right here at the bottom, pull towards the outside, and it releases the gimbal right here. Now, if you're not familiar with drones, the gimbal here needs to be removed before you fly. It's only done for transportation, so the gimbal doesn't move around. Now, when we release it, we see the gimbal here. This gimbal is pretty fragile, I'm going to say. Now, you're not going to break it by just touching it, but make sure that you don't attach anything to it, or make sure that you don't touch it when the drone is turned on. It's okay to do this right now, but I wouldn't mess with it when once it's on. Now you notice on the top we actually have an ND filter on ours right here. Yours will not come with an ND filter attached at first, but if you're doing videography, then you probably want to add one of these. Now, we need to also unfold the legs. This is not how it's going to take off. Now in this drone, you can actually do it in either order. Either you can do the back legs, which are at the top right here, and then do it this way, or you can do the front legs first, which are at the bottom, and then unfold it like this. This is what the drone should look like when it's kind of ready to fly. Now, if you look in the back right here, we have a card holder. Before you fly, and if you want to record footage, make sure that you have a card in here. We have a USB plug right here. This is going to be to download the footage or to even charge the drone if you wanted, if you had a battery on the inside. Yeah, that's kind of the drone as it is right here. Now you notice I have my fingers kind of in the back right here. This is where the battery is going to go. We're going to put a battery in here in a minute once I'm done kind of explaining what everything is. At the top here, you have kind of weird, like googly eyes on the front, and then in the back, these are your vision sensors, and these are going to help you or help the drone figure out if there's an obstacle, and if there is, well, it's going to have different things. It can either stop or it can actually go around. We'll talk about this when we turn it on and we get into the software. In the back here, you have fins. These are going to provide airflow to the drone. There's no fan in here, so you're gonna have to make sure that you constantly keep moving in order to get airflow. Now, if you're up in the air, the propellers are gonna provide enough airflow to cool off the drone. But if you have it standing on a hot day, there's kind of a low power mode that turns on so that the drone doesn't overheat. And then at the bottom here, we have two more of these googly eye sensors. These are going to help us with the height of the drone. The aircraft will know how high it is away from the ground to a certain altitude, and it's going to help it to kind of maintain its location when it's flying low, and maybe it doesn't have GPS. So if you're indoors, these, and then the ones right here that are kind of darker black, are extremely important. And then on this model, which we didn't have in the other Mini models from DJI, we have a light, and that light is going to be able to be turned on or off. As a matter of fact, it's kind of automatic. If you fly at night, as soon as you take off, it's going to light up the area underneath the aircraft, and then as you climb at high enough altitude, it's going to turn off by itself. But you can set it up so you can turn it on and off by hand. This is a good thing to kind of get additional visibility. If you wanted to really have a good eye on the drone and you're flying at night, you can turn that on, and it's gonna help you quite a bit. And then we have our arms. We can talk about the arms already. The novelty for this drone, I would say, is that it has little legs right here. The 3 model didn't have legs, and it was kind of wobbly when it landed, and the possibility of those propellers hitting the ground if you landed on uneven ground. But now they've added these little legs, which is cool. I think it's a great addition. And then you have your motors. At the top, we have 4 of them, and then obviously the propellers, 2 propellers per motor, and these are screwed in, so they're not quick release. You cannot easily remove them. They provide you with a little screwdriver where you'll be able to tighten them and make sure that they're put in place correctly. Now be careful, because each of these propellers has a specific order in which they need to be put in. So you notice on the back left leg and front right leg, there's a little marking, and that marking is going to correspond to the marking on the propellers right here. So when you change the propellers, make sure that the propellers that are in the diagonal across from each other diagonally, it's going to be the same type of propellers, and same thing on the other side right here. So once you have your propellers and you verify that everything is good, I like to run my fingers along the edge. I'm gonna run right here and make sure that our propellers are nice and smooth. If there's a ding or anything else, just change the propeller, okay? They're pretty cheap, and you don't want to be flying with a propeller that's got a ding in it. It's going to create vibration, and quite frankly, it's going to make your footage quite bad looking, and it's not good for the drone. Now you may notice, I don't know if we can pick it up on camera or not, but now there's a little bit of play in here. That's normal. The screw doesn't tighten this so much that it doesn't move around. It's got to be able to freely move. So if you feel a little bit of play, don't tighten these screws too much. You might break them or break the screw in here. So that's it. That's kind of what we have. So we're going to put a battery in here. Now I wanted to show you the battery, because what we have is two different types of battery. This one right here says ultralight 249 grams, which means that when I put this battery in here, it keeps the drone under 249 grams. Now what DJI has done with this drone and the previous drone, the Mini 3 Pro, is they've also included the ability to have a longer flight time, but to the detriment of going over 249 grams. Now for some people it doesn't matter, like us for example. At Pilot Institute, we don't really care if the drone is 249 grams or if it's over, because it's the same set of rules that we follow. So I know it matters for recreational, so I'm not saying that it's a useless thing. I'm just saying that for some people it doesn't matter as much. But the battery is the same format, so you're going to put it in here. There's only one way to put it in. You can't really mess it. If you put it this way, it doesn't fit in, okay? It's really that simple. So you're gonna put it in like this, and you push it in, and then it's gonna click in. You hear the click, it means that you're pretty much ready to go. So from here, we're not gonna take off just yet, because I wanna give you some tips on the area that you're gonna select to find a good spot to fly. Now you may notice right here, I'm at the top of a hill that's looking over the lake. From here, I can see the trails that are around, so I can look for people. There's also an airport on the other side of these rocks right here. Now we are in a Lance approved area. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to make sure that I can understand who's in the airspace, whether it's another drone, whether it's a helicopter that might be flying low. Not really an airplane in here. It's going to be too low for that and too far from the airport, but just so I have good command of the airspace. There's actually no trees around. There's a tiny little tree right here. There's a few trees right here. And then otherwise it's really open. So this is a great spot to do our first flight. I have my landing pad that's set up right here. The next thing that I want to do is I want to take a look at the weather. And just as I said that, the sun came up. We've had a pretty overcast morning, which has been really nice. There's a little bit of wind. It's coming from behind me. I can feel it. It's nothing that is going to go against flying our drone. Now, if you wanted to find a little bit more about the weather, you can go and look at this app called UAV Forecast, and you can see UAV Forecast right here. It says not good to fly because the wind is gusting to 31 miles an hour. Now, I'm not going to agree with this. Again, you have to take this with a grain of salt. There's no better weather forecast than looking around and seeing what's happening. But this will give you information about maybe visibility, if the visibility would be a little bit lower. Obviously, visibility is really good right now. And then the wind itself, and it's good. It says that there's a gust of 31. I've been standing here for quite a while now recording, and I haven't felt any of that gust. So I'm going to disregard this section here, but you can see everything else. The KP index is also something that's pretty important. These are going to be things that are going to affect the GPS reception. It's at 2 right now, which is good. This is one of the reasons why I like using this app for the KP index. In case it's too high, then you may have issues with connectivity with your drone. So now that we've checked the weather and then we know from feel that this is okay to fly, then we also need to make sure that the airspace is good. And this is one of the biggie, right? We really want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a pinch. So I'm going to go and show you this app that is called Before You Fly. It's a free app. It's sponsored by the FAA. It's put on by the folks that create Aloft Air Control. So it's it's trustworthy, okay? And you can go in here and you'll see as soon as you log in, it's gonna show you the area where you're at. And you notice that there's a bit of a greenish, I don't even know what color that is, teal color. That tells us that we are in controlled airspace. And it also says it at the bottom in blue, it says controlled airspace. See details below of more information. And here it says UAS facility map, permissible altitude for authorization is 400 feet. It means that here, with the proper authorization, the correct authorization, we can fly up to 400 feet. Now you're gonna say, how difficult is it to get authorization? It's as easy as clicking Get Lance. And as soon as you click Get Lance, it's going to tell you to take you to Aloft Air Control. Now I already have an account, I'm already logged in, so if this is your first time, you're gonna have to create an account. It's also free. And you'll be able to see here the detail. It shows 400 feet, and you notice where it changes a little bit further north of us, it changes to 100 feet, and then in the corner way back there, it changes to 0 feet, which means that we technically cannot fly in that area without, well, additional approval, which is only available to Part 107 pilots. If you're a recreational flyer, you cannot get approval to fly in zero grid airspace. But that's beside the point, because here we are near Watson Lake, and we're gonna be taking off in this park, flying over the lake. All of it is under 400 feet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on Lance in the bottom right corner, and here it says, what type of flying are you gonna do? I'm gonna do it under Part 107, but if you're recreational, you would click recreational right here. It's the same process. I'm gonna click commercial, and then I'm gonna say, I wanna fly up to 400 feet. Why not? It's permissible. I'm gonna click next. From here, it's going to take a look and give me some information. It says, how do you want to do it from now for the next 2 hours? Yep, that sounds pretty good. We'll be done recording in 2 hours. It says loading. And then here it says Prescott Class D. And from this time to this time for 2 hours, we are basically authorized to fly. As soon as we continue, here it's give you my name, phone number, and it gives us all that information. I'm going to click agree and submit. Agree and submit. And from here, we'll wait a few seconds. And if I go and look inside of my text message, I will find that my request was approved only seconds after I submitted it. It's now approved and we are good to go fly. So we checked the weather, we checked we have a good takeoff spot, and we also have a good area for airspace, and we're good to go. So let's get this first flight done. So first thing that we're gonna do is let's go ahead and talk about the controller. This is the controller right here. Now, this is the RC2 from DJI. It has a screen integrated into it. This can also be purchased, the drone can be purchased with the RCN2, which would be the same look without the screen in the middle. The difference is, well, a few $100s, but the idea is it's all integrated in here. If you use the one without the screen, you're gonna have to plug in your phone and then use a cable to connect to it. I love these. They're easy to come out of the bag, and then within seconds, you're up in the air. You don't have to finagle with plugging in your phone, making sure that it's charged, making sure it doesn't overheat, blah, blah, blah. This is just, to me, well worth the extra money. This has what we call O4 technology, OcuSync 4, which is the latest and greatest from DJI. Better penetration for the signal from the O3 based on our testing, but this is going to be compatible, my guess is, with all O4 based drones, which at the moment are the Air 3 and then the Mini 4 Pro that we have right here. Now, on here we have kind of a novelty. This was introduced with the Air 3, which was the first drone that had it. The Mini 4 Pro is the second drone that has the RC2 compatibility. And we have antennas here, so make sure that you set the antennas kind of in this fashion when you fly. And then the sticks right here, they actually store in the back of the controller right here. So make sure that you take those out and then just simply screw them on top, and then your sticks will be ready to fly. We have a few buttons on the front, the power button, the return to home button, and then here we have the ability to select different mode, cine mode, normal mode, sports mode, and then we can move the gimbal on this side, and then here we can move the zoom for the drone. Here we have a record button for videos and for photos, and then on the bottom here we can put a card so we can record the screen, and then a USB port in order to charge it. And then in the back here, we have C1 and C2. These are our button, our customizable button that we'll be able to set up. And that's it, really. It's nice in the hand. It's pretty lightweight. It's 700 nits, so it's not the brightest, but it will also be pretty visible even in a bright day. We live in Arizona where it's pretty bright, and I've never really had an issue even with only 700 nits. It doesn't overheat like your phone might actually overheat. So I'm gonna double tap and hold to start it, tap, tap and hold. The screen starts, and if the drone is not turned on, you're gonna land on this page right here where it says connection guide on the bottom right corner. I wouldn't worry about that just yet, but you can click on album. Album is gonna take you to the videos and the photos that you've taken from the drone. Now, these are not the full size images, but it will show you the things that you've recorded from the drone. And then you can go to SkyPixel. I will let you learn about SkyPixel. You need to be connected to the internet. It's a place where you can share your footage. But the next thing is your profile. And your profile is pretty important in here. This is a test drone, so we're not showing you what the profile is here because it's not ours. But from here, you can do device management. You'll be able to see all the different drones attached to your account. The DJI forum, the DJI store, I think these are pretty self-explanatory. And then the Find My Drone is the one that I wanted to show you because this one is pretty cool. Now, obviously the drone needs to be turned on and it needs to be broadcasting, but if the drone was lost, you would actually be able to click on start flashing and beeping here. If there's still a connection, let's say you crashed into a tree somewhere and it fell down, the battery is still on, the drone is still turned on, start flashing and beeping, you'd be able to hear it from a distance and start walking towards it. And then if you were connected to the internet, you'd be able to see it in here. Now, how do you connect this to the internet? If you have a Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone, you could connect it and then see the map right away. I have to say, I used it once on the original Mini, I think it was, that I had backed out a little too far, and then I hit a tree on the golf course, and then I had to go find it, and that's the way that I did. From here, you can click on connection guide, and it's gonna help you figure out how to connect. Now, it's pretty simple. All you really have to do is turn on the drone, double tap and hold. Now, I've noticed with this drone, it's kind of finicky. Don't do it too fast. Tap, tap and hold. Tap, tap and hold. Okay, if you do it too fast, it's not going to make that sound. And there you go. The gimbal is now under tension. Don't mess with it. Your propellers are here. Put that right in the middle of your landing pad. If you don't have a landing pad, that's fine. Just remember, this is a bit of a low rider, so if you're in grass, you want to make sure that the props are not going to catch the grass as it takes off. Okay, but before we take off, I want to make sure that we have a couple things set up correctly in here. That's going to be important for our flight. Now, it should take you directly to the view of the drone, and if you can't see yourself or something from the drone, it means that it's not connected just yet, but that should do it automatically. Now, I want to kind of go through the different things. N mode, yes, we are in normal mode. That's good. We don't want to take off in sports mode. Even if you left it on S mode accidentally and then you turn it on, it's going to go to a normal mode, and then you'll have to cycle through the switch here to get to sports mode. And then it says takeoff permitted. You can click on that. I want to show you a couple things in here. It says aircraft not in flight vision sensor is disabled. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then it says remote ID functionality is normal. That's good. That means that our drone is actually broadcasting remote ID, making it a standard remote ID drone. That's kind of your pre-flight section here if you want. RTH altitude, return to home altitude. Now, right now it's set to 328 feet from the takeoff point, which is good. We've been approved all the way to 400 feet. Now, if we actually look around, the tallest tree that I see here is about 20 feet. Okay, the tallest obstacle from the takeoff point is about 20 feet. So depending on where you fly, if you fly and there's a tall tree, maybe a little bit of a distance away, set the return to home altitude to be above the altitude of that tree. Now, how do you tell the altitude or the height of an object? I don't know, it's life experience, I guess. But if you're not sure, just put 400. If you clear to 400, you can put 400. It doesn't hurt. 328 is good right here. Maximum altitude. You notice I have mine at 1640. And you're going to say, well, Greg, aren't you supposed to fly only up to 400 feet AGL? Yes, you are. You can only fly up to 400 feet above the ground. We were in Colorado a couple days ago and we flew a mountain, and the mountain was sloping down slowly like this. And we ended up having to fly over 400 feet from the takeoff point, but we were never 400 feet above the ground. So in this case, I'm putting mine at the max, but do whatever you want with this. Maximum distance, I don't like to be limited with distance, so I put no limit. But if you wanted to keep it within, let's say, maybe 5,000 feet, which is about a mile, there's nothing wrong with that. It comes standard with no limit restriction. So, and we are recording to the SD card right now, and I can tell that I have a full blank SD card. So this is a great place to go. This will tell you all the things that you should have to worry about before taking off, and then you can do your settings. Now, next, it says 93% battery. I like this. The 0 minutes, 0 seconds will update as soon as we take off. And then we have a perfect connection with the RC, those 5 bars, that's the connection strength between us and the drone. And then it's got obstacle avoidance. Now it says forward and backward unavailable, left and right unavailable, up and down unavailable. That's because we haven't taken off just yet. So this will turn to a different color, and I'll show you how we can change that. And we have 19 satellites right now, which is perfect. It's white, it means that we're good to go. If those satellites are red, I think below 10, I would not take off. I would wait a little longer. It's gonna catch the signal eventually, then you'll be good to go. And then depending on what you're going to do next, make sure that you do kind of some of the setups. So if you want to do vertical photos or videos or whatever, I'm going to keep it on video mode right now. Not really important for our first flight. I just want to show you how to do this. Okay. I want to do one more thing. Make sure that we go to safety on, and once we're in safety, you see collision avoidance. I have mine set to bypass. I recommend leaving it on bypass or putting it on brake. Bypass, what it's going to do is if it gets close to an obstacle, then it's going to navigate around it or on top of it or underneath it to avoid it, but it's going to try to continue going. Brake, if it feels an obstacle, it's just going to stop right here. And when you put bypass, you notice there's 2 options, the normal and the nifty. Nifty is going to give you a little bit more of a smooth avoidance, but also it says right here, it says when nifty is available, the aircraft avoid obstacle with more subtle changes, more smoothly, but it increases the collision risk. So use with caution. I'm going to keep mine right here. And then one more thing I want to show you too is the radar map. If you turn that on, when we get close to an obstacle, it's going to give us a warning. I'm going to keep it on just so you can see. Okay. So that's it. That's really what we have in here. I don't see anything else that you need to change before we go, but those are kind of the safety items that we need to make sure we have in place. All right, well, are you ready for this first flight? I know I've been kind of teasing it for a while now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our controller like this, and we're gonna bring the left stick towards the bottom on the inside, and we're going to do the right stick and do the same thing, just like that. Now, before we do this, we're going to let people know that we're about to take off. So I'm going to say spooling. There you go. And then the drone starts. Now, when you do that the first time, it's not going to do it right away. It's going to give you a little warning on here. It's going to say, did you check that your propellers are attached correctly? Yes, you did, I hope. You're going to say, don't tell me again, or you're going to just say complete. And then from here, you're ready to go. So we're going to use the left stick, and we're going to put it in the up position. You notice, as soon as I start to do this a little bit, the drone wants to take off. We're not going to use the right stick at all. We're just going to go up for right now. So up, there you go. We're going to bring it to a height, I would say above people's face. We don't really want to be in people's face in this case. We just want to make sure that if something happens, it doesn't go sideways and hit someone. Now that we're ready to go, I'm going to use the right stick, and I'm going to move forward to go to the area where we want to go. Now, this drone is really responsive, by the way. A great little drone. Now, you notice we're in a really cool area here. I'm going to show you in a second what I'm looking at. Now, this right here is Watson Lake, which is an area where we love to fly. It's just beautiful, beautiful area with lake and red rocks. And all the airspace we want to fly around. So I'm going to give you a couple easy maneuvers of things that you can do with your drone. The first one is moving forward, and all you have to do for this is move the right stick forward, and the drone goes away from you. And if you push the stick back towards you on the right side, right stick back, then the drone is going to come back. Now, if we want to go just sideways, we're going to do the right stick, move it to the left, and then if we want to go sideways to the right, right stick to the right, and then the drone is going to, well, just respond. Now, the left stick is used for 2 different things. One of them is what we call yawing. Yawing is just moving the aircraft around the vertical axis, yawing to the left without moving forward or without sliding to the left or to the right. It's just yawing against around the vertical axis. And then the left stick, if you push it up, the drone is going to climb. and if you push it down, it's going to descend. It's really that simple. Now you can do combos of all of these. So I like to sometimes do a rotation. I'm going to do it on us right here as we're flying around. You can see right here. You can also see the home point, by the way, on the screen. The H, that's the home point. And I like to do maybe going to the right with the right stick. And at the same time, we're going to do a little bit of yaw on the left stick to the left. And what that gives you is a simple orbit. The aircraft is orbiting around us, just like that. And we can do it in the other direction. So, and you can look at your screen if you want, just so you can make sure that you keep the object right in the middle. You notice I have a bit of a grid going on mine, just so I can easily pinpoint the center of our screen. And that's it. That's really different combos. Now, something that I do need to mention that's very important is that at the moment, the drone is facing us, which means what? If I move the right stick forward, the drone is going to come towards me. Why? Because all the controls are designed to control the aircraft from the nose of the aircraft, from where it's looking. So if it's looking at us and I move forward, it comes towards us. If I push back, then it goes away from us. Okay, it's all based on what the camera is looking at. So it is confusing for some people, but over time you eventually get it. What's confusing here is if I want to go to the left, I'm going to have to do the stick to the right. That's what we call reverse control. I want to go to the left, I have to move the stick to the right, because it's all based on what the drone is looking at. If I turn the aircraft 180 degrees, now it's facing the lake, it's facing away from me. Now it's easy. If I want to go to the left, I go to the left. If I want to go to the right, I go to the right. These are your basic maneuvers, okay? Practice away from people. If you see people coming close to you, either fly further away or just land the aircraft, talk to them. Some people love to talk about drones, but in this case, yeah, just go practice flying around. Now, let's say that you're kind of new to this and you went a little too far away, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't see it anymore. It's a pretty small drone. You're like, how am I going to bring it back? Well, I can give you several tips before we go to return to home. On the bottom left corner, there's a map. And if you click on that, it's going to show you this map. And if you tap on it again, it's going to come full screen. You're going to say, well, why is your map all white? Well, it's all white because this controller is not connected to the internet. So we're not really going to see much of anything on this map. Now, if I tap on the bottom right corner of it, it turns it into this little radar area, which is cool because now it's showing me that the drone is facing away from me. Why do I know this? Because you see there's a little H behind the aircraft. So now let's see this. If I yaw to the left using the left stick, you notice what happens to my home point? It's yellow and it's turning as I'm doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to orient so that the yellow goes all the way to the top of the map. And look at what happens on the screen. Do you see that H on the screen that's showing the home point? That's our location right here. If I do this, you can probably see me waving. Actually, I'm right behind the H, so probably not. But that's our home point. And not only that, but we can also see the home point on the radar on the bottom left. And so all I have to do now is move forward, and it's going to start to fly towards the home point. And then now we can start to see the home point. It's right here. And we found it. We're not lost anymore. Okay, so that's a great thing with doing this. If you can't see the drone anymore, or if whatever happens, you can orient yourself and then find where the home point is at. Another hint, the home point, you see it on the bottom of the screen. As I'm yawing a little bit, it shows that the home point is, well, behind the aircraft. So that's another method to find the home point. Now let's say don't want to mess with that and you're kind of in a panic, you just want to come back. Push and hold this home button, the H button right here. Push and hold, you're going to hear beep. And after a while, it turns by itself. And not only that, but look how cool this is. It's showing us in 3D what the aircraft is actually going to do. It's right on top of us right now. And what it's going to do is it's coming, it's lining itself up. You can see it's looking at the home point. That's our landing pad. And I'm not touching anything, by the way. I'm doing all this. The drone is doing all of it. It's going to find our landing pad. Hopefully, almost, yeah. It's a little windy now, but it's doing a pretty good job. I'm gonna help it a little bit, bring it right onto the spot. But there you go. it landed pretty close to the home point. So you could have taken control at any time here, you could have canceled that, but this is a great feature to help bring the drone back in case of an emergency. Now, as far as landing are concerned, I didn't land it, but I'm gonna show you real quick how we do the landing. So I'm gonna do the same thing, start the motors, I'm gonna bring it back up, and let's say that we're about this height right here and we need to land. What I like to do is I like to face the camera away from me, so in the same direction, so that I don't have reverse controls. And now I'm bringing it down slowly, okay? And as I bring it down slowly, first off, I make sure that nobody else is around, so I'm not gonna hit them. And then I'm gonna bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. And then now I'm not over my pad, right? So now I can control. Now you notice it's freaking out a little bit because it is getting a little bit windy now, but it's still doing really good. And then I'm holding the left stick all the way down until it stops. That was the landing right here. And like you see, it was definitely windy, battling. This is a very light drone, so the fact that it's doing this is about normal. It's trying to maintain its height. Then we're done. That's it. We did our first flight. We're gonna go and turn it off. So double tap and hold. Double tap and hold. The lights go off. The right one blinks a little bit. There you go. Now it's turned off. Same thing for the controller. Double tap and hold. All right, well, I can't go before showing you some of the cool automated features that we have available in this aircraft. And the first one is going to be one of the automated feature that you can follow, or you can do a point of interest. So I'm going to tap on the screen to do autofocus, and you see that there's a big green tree right here. And so what we're going to do is on the screen, I'm going to tap on the top left corner and then drag my finger on the screen to build a window just like this. And you notice it picked up the tree. If I go to POI, point of interest, I can choose which direction I want to go and how fast or slow I want to go. So let's say I wanted to go this way, counterclockwise, and then I push go. It's going to start to do a rotation really fast. It's actually going really fast. Now there's a tree right here, so I'm going to make sure that it doesn't hit, but because it has collision avoidance, it actually should not be a problem. And you notice it's going around the tree, keeping the tree right in the middle ish. It's not doing a great job necessarily because I think it's a pretty big object, but it's still rotating all the way around it, so that works. If I wanted to slow down, I can do that. I can make it slow down right here, and if I wanted to go in the other direction, then I can also do that, and then it would stop, go in the other direction, and then do the same thing and do the orbit. So by the way, if you need to get out of this, if you have something selected on the screen, you need to push the X to get out of it, and then now you have full control of the thing. Now what Ethan is going to do now, he's going to get into our big red van. I'm going to select it on the screen. It knows it's a vehicle already, and I'm going to do active track, and here we're going to follow Ethan as he flies around. I click go, and then we have two different methods. We can either follow using the active track trace, which means that on the side right here, we can select where we want the drone to be located. So I'm going to move the drone to go to the right of the van. And what it's going to do is, it's doing it really fast, and it's going to go to the right of the van, and then it's going to follow it. So he's going to start driving, and there you go. The drone is going to stay to the side as fast as it can to try to follow. Now, obviously it's got a speed limitation, but there you go. It's doing it from this distance. And let's say that I wanted to move. Now I'm going to make sure there's no vehicles. So there's no vehicles here. So I'm going to move it to the front of the vehicle now. And it's doing this. It's moving to the front of the vehicle. Now it's got full obstacle avoidance on this drone, so it should be able to follow it. Now you have to keep an eye on it, which I'm doing right now, and I'm ready to intervene in case something happens. Now you notice he's going behind. Yeah, it lost it for a second, and now it's picking it up again. Now there's a vehicle coming on that side, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. It went back to being behind it because I think it's going a little too fast for the tiny little drone. But that's one of the options right here. We're in trace mode and we're behind it. So now what we're going to do is he's going to turn around. I'm going to climb. I'm going to get out of the way of this. I'm going to push stop, get out of the way of this vehicle that's coming in. And I'm going to show you what the parallel mode is going to look like. So Ethan is going to back out. Ethan is still selected. The van is still selected. I'm going to push active track again, click go, and then click parallel. And then it should stay now on this side of the street, inside of the green area here, and stay kind of parallel to it as it's moving around. Again, it's a vehicle, so it goes pretty fast. It's cool here because there are trees. So let's see if it lost it. Oh, no, it picked it up again. That was really cool. That was a good test. And I guess for this, if you have nothing else around and no other traffic, you can, you know, kind of mess around and play with it. It went across the street here and it's still trying to do it parallel. It's doing a good job, I think, so far. Kind of picking it up. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. We can also do it with people. So Ethan is going to now kind of walk around. Again, it's as simple as, let's cancel this. It's as simple as finding the person. So I'm going to go down a little bit right here. And here's Ethan right here. And I'm going to select him. Notice it's a person, active track, and go. You notice now we have two distances. It is the closest right here. And I'm going to try to go forward in front of him by rotating to the right, by rotating clockwise. And you notice it's doing it. It's kind of following him and rotating clockwise, and it's going to find its position to the front. And there we are. Now, if I wanted to do the same thing from the front, but from further away, I can drag my finger. It moves to the outside. And then now we're going to do rotate from that to the left on the outside ring. So it's going wider, and there it is. And you can see it live happening on the screen. So it's doing a really good job at following him all around, either from close or from further back. And now that he's running, you'll see it's going to go pretty fast to try to get in front of him. He's trying to escape. No luck here, buddy. And there you go. It's in front of him. As he's running, we're going to go maybe to the side on a tight squeeze. He's really running. Burning his breakfast. What we found from experience is that it's actually doing a lot better when the person is an object. When it starts to go too fast on one wheel, maybe with a lot of obstacle, it's going to lose the subject. But so far we haven't hit anything, and we really tried to go around trees and everything. Now, we did talk earlier, since we're talking about obstacle, we did talk a lot about the bypass obstacle avoidance system. And I'm going to show you now what the A-pass system does. So I'm going to first set it to brake so you can see what happens. And I'm going to set to display the radar, which is right here. So now I'm going to go towards one of these trees. Trees are one of the worst thing for drones because they have kind of tiny little branches. So I'm going to get close to this. Make sure that you're in normal mode and cinematic mode, not in sports mode. And as you get closer, it should start to give us a warning that there's a tree. And yes, there's a tree. Now I have my stick fully forward right now, and it's not moving and it's not hitting the tree. Now from here it looks awfully close. From here on the screen it also looks awfully close, but the point is, with my stick full forward, it's still not going anywhere. So that's good. That's stop. So the A-pass is in stop mode. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it so that it goes into bypass mode, and I'm going to put it in normal. So bypass normal. And I'm going to go forward towards the tree. And let's see what it's going to do. Let's see if it's going to find a way around it. Oh my God, this is scary. But yes, it did find a way. All I did was go forward. I moved the stick forward. Now let's see if it does it backwards. Let's try to go down. Now I can't see anything other than looking at it. So, there you go. It went around the tree going backwards. Because we have, remember, 360-degree obstacle avoidance on this, then it's going to do what it needs to do. And then now I'm going to show you the nifty section. Nifty is just means that it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to be using a bit smoother movement. So let's see if this is actually true. I'm going to try to hit this wall, and wow, it felt like it was going to hit it, but it didn't. Let's see what it does here with the trash can and that tree maybe. Oh yeah, it's actually pretty smooth. It is actually pretty smooth. Let's see if we can continue going towards this tree. Branches are always the worst. Yeah, it's doing a nice job at avoiding. What is it going to do here? Whoa, okay. That's pretty cool. This was all just going straight forward on the stick. This is kind of a skinny tree here. Wow, yeah, this is really cool. It's doing a great job at recognizing that there are trees. But that's your A-pass system avoidance. All right, well, the next cool thing I want to show you here is going to be if we click on that little picture on top of the red button, is going to be the Quickshots. So scroll down, you'll see Quickshots, and then we have a whole list of all the different Quickshots available. And then you can see a quick preview of what each of them does. Now let's go ahead and pick up the Droney right here. And all we have to do is tap outside of the screen, and then you see I'm in the frame right here. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to click on the plus button. It already knows that it's a person. We're not going to click on Ben right there because, well, he's still in the shot. Now he's not anymore. And click right here on the plus sign, and it's asking you a distance. Now it says 120 feet right here. We can actually swap that for 160, 200. Now you notice there's a bug right now. It says 120 meters. Pretty sure it's 120 feet. So 120 feet right here. Click start. Make sure that it's clear behind you, because what this thing is going to do is going to shoot back. And maybe we bring it back even closer to us right here. Nice and close so we can talk to the camera. It knows exactly that I'm a person, which is kind of, well, normal for this. And then you see that green halo around me. I'm going to push start. It's going to count down 3, 2, 1. We're going to keep an eye on the drone, and then it's going to go back, back, back. Make sure again that everything is clear behind you, and then it's going to go up. You notice it says 50%. You see the percentage of time that it's taking on the back. And then when it's done, there you go, it's going to stop. So it went 120 feet away, and then it's going to come back. It's going to bring it back by itself to where you started from pretty slowly. In the meantime, it's going to calculate the, or do the video that it recorded, and then it's going to put it basically in your card, in your drone. So you'll be able to see exactly what that looked like, okay? So that was the Droney. And the next one in here is going to be the rocket. So we can click on the rocket. We're going to select me right here, and we're going to click start, and then in a few seconds it's going to go. Now this is pretty ballsy, I'm not gonna lie here, because we are right in the middle of a lot of trees, which you should see here in a second as it climbs up. But this is actually a really cool effect that you can do with your drone as well, just to kind of show what everything around you looks like. Yeah, you can see all the trees around. That's really freaking cool. The next thing that I want to show you is the hyperlapse function in here. If you go again to your different modes, we were in Quickshots. Now you can click on hyperlapse, and there's different ways that we can do hyperlapse. We can go directly from doing a freestyle where we're going to fly whatever we want, but I wanted to show you here the course lock because I think it's really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to orient the drone into the direction where I want to fly, which is going to be right between these trees that are in front of us. And then I'll have the ability to move the camera whichever way I want from here, which is going to be really cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to lock the course here, which is the direction that we're going to go. Now you notice if we go straight up in the distance, in the background we see another tree far in the back. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to push on the little lock button right here. And you notice when I did that, it unlocks the red button that we can push on. So I'm going to start pushing on it in a second, but because I have my track already, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from back here, which is not the most cinematic, but you can get the idea at this stage. We'll do a more cinematic one in a second. And then I'm going to yaw as the drone moves. So I'm going to go like this. It's starting to move. It's moving pretty fast in this case, but we're going to make it work. And then we're going to go and start to yaw to the left pretty quickly as we pan over. So it's a pan with a yaw at the same time. But the point of all of this is that the drone is going in that straight line, and I have the ability to start moving the drone around in slightly different angle right here as we go. You'll see the final product. It's going to be really, really short as far as the final shot because the distance is so short here, but you get the idea of what this course lock is going to do. And then here you can see a much better, much more appropriate long version of one that uses this course lock functionality. All right, and the last feature that I want to show you, which is really cool, especially on the mini drone, is going to be the waypoint feature. And that waypoint feature allows you to do, well, a lot of different things. And what you see here on the left is we have the waypoint button, and we can tap on that. And we get different options here. On the far left, you have the little list icon. If you tap on that, you will be able to download or upload the waypoints that you saved in the past. Now I saved a couple of them because I'm going to replay them tonight and show you what it looks like at night at the same time as what we did earlier in the day. The next thing that we have in here is the ability to create, well, your waypoints. Either you can choose a point of interest, select the point of interest, and then be able to replay that over and over again, or we can create different waypoints that the drone is going to fly. Now this includes the position of the camera, the position of the aircraft, the orientation of the aircraft, the altitude of the aircraft. So everything is saved in here, which is really, really neat, including the fact that you can put the camera in vertical format if you wanted to, or keep it in horizontal format, and the drone is just gonna replay that over and over again and save it. Now this is really cool for a variety of different reasons. If you wanted to do the same shot between day and night, like we're gonna do, or if you wanted to do the same shot in the spring, in the fall, in the winter, and in all the different seasons, so you can show the same location in different time of the year, or if you did progression, obviously tracking of the building of a new hotel or whatever it is, then you'd be able to do that. So I'm going to show you here how we're going to set one of these up. We are right on top of a safe area here where we can kind of fly for a while, but right down in here there's a little alley, and that alley lights up at night. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way to the end of the shot right here. I'm keeping an eye on my drone because I want to make sure that I stay on that side. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to finish with a bit of a rotation so you can see exactly how all of this works. We're going to do the first waypoint here. I'm going to push plus, and that plus recorded the waypoint. It's really that simple. Then I'm going to move to the next position of where I want to be. I want to show maybe a little bit more of the alley right here. So I'm going to go down a little bit, but also want to show maybe a little bit more of the background, maybe this little plaza right here, just as my second checkpoint right here. So I'm going to do that. That's a good second point. And then I'm going to turn some more. And maybe at the end of this shot, I want to reveal a little bit more of like the downtown and maybe climb a little bit so we have a better view of everything that's going on. So that's going to be our last shot. Now from here, pretty simple. I can push next. And then here I'm going to say, okay, on the end of the flight, I don't want it to RTH, I want it to hover. On signal lost, I want it to RTH, and then starts at the first waypoint. We're going to do this flight in a second here to show you, but the battery is pretty low, and yep, you can hear it right here. But the good news is the drone is literally right here on top of us, so we're just going to land. I'm going to push go, and then let's see what it's going to do. It's got only 3 waypoints, so it's recording, it's moving down the alley, and then at one point it should start to move the camera. And you notice it's a smooth transition between all these waypoints because I told it what to do in the software. So here it's going to capture a little bit more of this area. This should be nice and lit up tonight, and it should look really cool. And I know it's a lot of roofs right now. So I'm going to go also and do one more on Whiskey Row, and then we'll show you all that footage later. All right, folks, that's all we have for you. Thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments.